So, over the past 2 years, the main thing shaping the meta in Naruto Shinobi Striker has been the introduction of SS Plus weapons. Easily the strongest weapons in the game and capable of taking a build from just decent to absolutely insane. Since this new rarity was introduced, we've had 17 different SS Plus weapons in total. So today we're going to look at every single one of them and rank them from worst to best, focusing not only on how strong they are in the current meta, but also on the unique gimmicks they bring and how interesting they are visually. With that said, let's not waste any more time and get into it. Kicking off the list at the very bottom is the Momoshiki heal type weapon, Monstrous Chaos. To be completely upfront and honest with you, this is probably the only SS Plus weapon I genuinely do not enjoy using, for reasons we will get into. Basically any other weapon on this list I consider to be at least pretty good, but this one just doesn't do it for me. Let's start with the positives though. The one good thing about this weapon is definitely its passive. After finishing a basic light attack combo, you get a temporary buff that increases your movement speed and makes every one of your attacks, light or heavy, fire a ranged projectile. That part is actually really cool, but outside of that, the weapon itself is just kind of mid. It can have some combo potential if you really put time into mastering it, but for most players, it's just pretty rough to use. The swing feels slow, the range isn't great, and landing hits on fast enemies can feel borderline impossible. And even when you do connect, due to the horrible tracking on this weapon, you'll often just miss out on any substantial damage because this thing cannot keep track of anything. If you do manage to activate the passive and catch someone in a full combo, then the damage is actually very good. But that scenario just doesn't happen consistently enough. So for me, this lands at the bottom of the list. It's probably the only SS Plus weapon I genuinely recommend avoiding unless you're trying to specifically master it. Up next, we have our first defense class weapon on this list, Gaara Sand Spear Shukaku. A lot of people consider this to be the worst SS Plus weapon in the game, and while I don't fully agree with that, it's definitely one of the weaker ones comparatively. Compared to every normal defense weapon, it is actually pretty good. So if you don't have any other SS Plus options, then it's not a bad pick at all. The main issue is that when it compares to other weapons in this rarity, it just doesn't excel at anything. The combos are fine, the strong attack is interesting and gives you super armor, but nothing stands out. And overall, it struggles to compete with the more impactful SS Plus choices. From a visual standpoint though, it's easily one of the coolest. Using Shukaku as a weapon was always going to look amazing. So it's a bit of a shame it isn't as meta viable as some other options in this class. Continuing down the list, we have our first attack type weapon, the Shinobi Kawaki model. This weapon lets you use Kawaki's unique fighting style, mixing scientific ninja tools and karma enhanced strikes. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it suffers from the same issue as the Sand Spear. It doesn't do anything exceptionally well. Its strongest trait is the long stun time on certain combos, especially ones that weave together light and strong attacks. Skilled players can definitely use that to pull off some incredibly long combos, but the thing is, many weapons can do that, and it shouldn't be the only selling point of an SS Plus weapon. Visually, it's also one of the less standout designs in this category. If I didn't already know it was this rarity, I would have probably guessed it was just an SS tier weapon. And for all those reasons, it lands fairly low on this list. Next, we have the Ink Scroll for range types, which lets you use Psyche's Ink Creation in both close and long range combat. The unique gimmick here is that the weapon has two separate modes, and you switch between them by pressing the strong attack button. The close range mode is honestly pretty underwhelming. If you're playing range type and willingly closing the distance, you better have a strong reason for doing so. And this mode just doesn't offer that. It's not bad compared to normal weapons, but it's definitely not worth pulling this weapon for. The long range mode though is much more interesting. You can fire Ink Beasts at a rapid pace, letting you easily catch enemies and keep them locked in a combo. The beasts also recently got a nice buff to their tracking too, so it's easier to land them reliably. The damage is lower than the close range version, but that's expected. The main issue though is that if you are going for this range playstyle, you're genuinely better off running something like Data Rush Detonating Clay. It basically does the same thing as the long range mode on this weapon, but better. And it's a lower rarity, meaning it's far easier to pull. The Ink Scroll is visually very cool, and the dual mode gimmick is fun, but overall the weapon falls just a bit short. Next up is the 7 Ninja Swordsman of the Mist Sword for the defense class. This weapon is essentially 7 weapons in one, since the combos use all of the iconic blades wielded by the legendary Swordsman. A lot of people tend to think this weapon isn't great, but I kind of disagree. First of all, it has a ton of combo variety, simply because it cycles through 7 different swords. Second, its strong attack charge is very good, sending out 3 high-speed water clones that blitz straight towards the enemy and deal solid damage. Finally, when your health drops to around 15%, you automatically activate a demon aura effect inspired by subs as Demon Hunter, giving you super armor and lifesteal. It's not the most broken weapon in the SS Plus category, but it has so many valuable little features that add up. Up next, we have the Ghost Sword for the heal class. And in my opinion, this is easily the most complicated SS Plus weapon in the entire game. The complexity mainly comes from the strong attack, which does 3 completely different things depending on how long you hold down the button. A quick tap equips a Ghost Mag, costing a bit of HP and lowering your defense, but boosting your speed and attack. Holding it down for around half a second fires a sweeping projectile with a decent range and tracking. Holding it even longer turns into a blitz-style dash similar to flying Raijin. On top of that, you can extract souls while comboing enemies, and storing those lets you heal at the end of specific follow-up combos. There's honestly so much going on with this weapon that explaining every detail would take forever. So here's the short version. The positives are great range options, which heal types usually lack, strong stun times and tons of combo potential. The downsides are the long animations that can punish you if you mess up, and the fact that the strong attack changes based on how long you hold it, which sometimes means doing an input you didn't intend to. Overall, it's a really strong weapon with a high skill ceiling, but it's definitely on the more complicated side and can be punishing if used incorrectly. Up next on the list is the very first SS Plus weapon ever added to Shinobi Striker, the Kurama Claw. It's not quite the monster it was at the release, and anyone who played back then would know exactly what I mean. This thing used to be absurd, since you couldn't substitute out the strong attack, letting players chain it infinitely and completely delete anyone they touched. Since then, it's been nerfed several times, which is definitely healthier for the game. But that doesn't mean this weapon is bad, far from it. It's still one of the best attack type weapons available. The strong attack remains fantastic, extremely fast with tons of combo routes and creativity. It does now require more skill to pull off crazy combos or guaranteed KOs, which is a good thing, but it also means it ranks slightly lower overall. Visually though, it's still amazing. Fighting with KCM and flying Raijin will always look sick. Next up is Teku, a trigram Spall, the Hyuga SS Plus weapon. This weapon gives you by far the longest standard combo in the game, meaning long combos that don't require any sort of special setup or trick inputs. A few light attacks into strong attacks can easily rack up over 100 hits, and if you set it up correctly, you can KO someone from full health with a single clean combo. So why isn't it higher? Well, those long combos come with a few downsides. Because they last so long, there's a huge window for you to get interrupted. And if the enemy substitutes out, you might lock yourself into a very long recovery animation, especially if you're someone like me who just likes mashing inputs. The weapon also has practically no range, meaning you have to be right up close to deal damage. Still, it is a very strong weapon, especially in the hands of someone experienced, but not quite the best option for the heal class overall in my opinion. Up next is probably the most overlooked SS Plus weapon in the game, Inventive Destruction. At first glance, it doesn't seem like much. It's just a sword and shield combo not tied to any specific character. But you definitely shouldn't underestimate it. For starters, it's essentially 2 weapons in one, since pressing the strong attack merges the sword and shield into a much larger blade, giving you a second complete set of combos. The damage and combos are solid on their own, but the real star of the show is the super armor, which you get whenever you attack with the big sword. As far as I know, you do only get super armor when using the big sword and not the sword and shield, but regardless, having super armor on attacks is a massive advantage. Even on an otherwise simple weapon, that single trait pushes it up the list. It might not be super flashy, but power-wise and utility-wise, it is far stronger than it might look. Next up is Hashirama's SS Plus weapon, the Timber Blade Hashirama Senju. This weapon not only lets you use wood style in your combos, but also enter Sage mode. You activate it by fully charging your chakra jump. Once you do so, the blades will glow blue, and for the next 30 seconds your combos become extended and much stronger. Even without Sage mode, this weapon is already great. It deals good damage and has a strong variety of combos, including using the wood golem during strong attacks. But with Sage mode active, it becomes one of the best attack class weapons out there. Your light attacks drop Tori gates on opponents, and your strong attacks further use the utility of the wood golems, using them to rush the enemy, and every combo just looks incredible. Honestly, being able to enter Sage mode just through your weapon alone is awesome. Nothing more needs to be said. Continuing down the list, we have Demon Roar for the attack class. The unique gimmick of this weapon is that pressing the strong attack doesn't give you a strike. Instead, it puts you into a bloodthirsty mode. You lose around 15% of your max HP and some defense, but in exchange you gain a speed boost, extra attack power, and lifesteal. This lets you chase and finish enemies much faster while quickly replenishing the HP you sacrificed. On top of that, the weapon has one of the easiest long combos in the game. After you land a light attack, you can repeatedly press the strong attack button and enter a long stabbing sequence that continues until the enemy eventually flies away. So yeah, even though there's a small price to pay, the insane damage and speed you get in return make it more than worth it. Next up is Itachi's SS Plus weapon, the Totsuka blade. Widely considered the best healer weapon right now, and for good reasons too. It hits unusually hard for a heal class weapon, has a great variety of combos, and the range is fantastic for its class. The strong attack, as usual for this class, instantly breaks guard. But with the second input, you fire a projectile that acts like a mini Yasaka beat. You also get a very fast charge attack that teleports you at the end, letting you close the distance far better than most healer weapons. The only small downside is that to get the most out of it, you do need to learn the light into strong attack combo sequences, since they're the best part of the weapon, but they aren't too difficult to pick up. Overall, it's an excellent healer weapon with great damage, strong utility, and tons of variety. Next is the newest SS Plus weapon, the Azure Blade of Annihilation for the range class. This weapon honestly feels like it does everything well. Great damage, a strong set of combos, a fantastic strong attack, and one of the best charge attacks in the entire class. The strong attack fires a vanishing Rasengan, and by holding the button you can shoot up to 3 of them at a very high speed, although they do not have any tracking whatsoever. For a single strong attack, that's extremely good and lets you pick off opponents very easily from afar. The charge attack is also incredible. It's almost like a slightly weaker version of Kawaki's Sukuna Hikona God Hunter, and it lets you close gaps instantly. Visually, it's also amazing as well, with nice animations, shadow clones, and the vanishing Rasengan effect. Overall, one of the strongest and most fun range weapons available. Next up is my personal favorite attack class weapon, the Slashblade Yellow Flash, which allows you to fight using Minato style. This weapon has the perfect balance of being strong without being broken. It's powerful but still rewards skill. The standout feature of this weapon is definitely the strong attack, which lets you teleport around the map in quick bursts. Attack types already are the fastest class in the game, and this weapon pushes that even further. Its movement potential is insane, making it the best weapon for chasing down fleeing enemies. The combos are also fantastic, not overpowered but extremely effective in the right hands. And of course, visually it looks incredible, as expected from Minato's fighting style. With enough practice, this weapon lets you elevate your movement to a whole new level, which lands it this high of a spot on the list. Up next is what many people consider the most annoying weapon in the range class, the Skyward bow. Every part of this weapon is built for long range combat, so your best strategy is staying far from the fight and picking off players from safety. What makes it so unique is how many tools it has. You get a standard light combo, 3 versions of a strong attack depending on how long you charge it, and a special status effect arrow that applies when you do a light into strong combo. If the enemy has this status effect, all of your attacks become way stronger. For example, the second strong attack becomes a Kamui arrow that can pass through walls, but with the status effect applied, it also pulls nearby enemies inward like a mini universal pull. This gives the bow insane combo potential and an incredibly diverse kit. Yes, it is definitely frustrating to fight against. Getting sniped non-stop is just no fun for anyone, but it does take a bit of skill to use well, and it's undeniably powerful. Next is Madara's SS Plus weapon, the War Fan, or as I like to call it, the Noob Slayer. If you don't know how to handle this weapon, it will absolutely dominate you. The light attacks are solid, but the real reason it's so strong is the heavy attack. Depending on whether you're on the ground or in the air, it becomes either a massive horizontal swipe or a downward strike. Both of these have huge range, and the aerial version launches you extremely high, making it very easy for follow-up attacks. On top of that, the user gets super armor when attacking, just like with Inventive Distraction. And since the weapon's strongest option revolves around repeatedly pressing one button, it is incredibly easy to use and incredibly frustrating to deal with. Visually though, it is great, with Susanoo animations and a small majestic destroyer flame as the combo finisher. So yeah, similarly to the bow, frustrating but insanely powerful. And finally, at our number 1 spot, we have Sasuke's SS Plus weapon, the Inferno sword Flame Control. Many players consider this the best weapon in the entire game, and honestly, I agree. Even without its special effects, the weapon would already be great. Fast, clean combos that don't drag on forever, and a fantastic heavy attack that works well from mid or even long range. But what really pushes this weapon on the top of the list is the burn effect. Getting hit by any strong attack sets the enemy on fire, and the burn damage is the strongest damage over time in the entire game, making it incredibly frustrating to deal with. The heavy attack's hitbox is also extremely wide, making it incredibly hard to dodge at closer distances. Visually, it's also one of the most beautiful weapons too, with Susanoo and Amaterasu effects throughout the combos. Simply put, amazing weapon, definitely worth pulling when it's out in the featured shop, and in my opinion, the best weapon in the entire game. And that's all the weapons ranked. Now, obviously every SS Plus weapon will inherently be at least somewhat decent. Well, maybe apart from Monstrous Chaos, I really don't like that one. Nonetheless, none of these weapons are bad, and a lot of the ranking comes down to preference. With that said, let me know in the comments what you thought of the list and what your go-to SS Plus weapon of choice is, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!